Okay, so we will be starting with the C++ containers from this lecture onwards. So we will be talking about discussing about all the containers, like we have arrays, we have stack, queue, set, multi-set, multi-map, we have unordered set, ordered set, and all the containers, stack, queue, heap, whatever it is, right? We will be talking about all the containers. So the first container that comes into our mind is obviously array. So let's talk about array. So let's say conventional way to just simply declare an array is to just simply write int arr, and then you need to declare the size. Now the point comes is what is the maximum size allowed of for an array, that is a 10 raised to power 6 inside int main, for all of the data types like integer, string, float, double, all of that, and 10 raised to power 7 for boolean. Okay, so if you declare a array with boolean data type, so you can say up to 10 raised to power 7, so the size could go up to 7. So I'm not counting the zeros for now, and for integer or string or for all the other data types it can go up to 6. But if you're doing the same thing outside int main, the range will be different. So outside int main, the maximum size for integer, string, double, float can go up to 10 raised to power 7, and for boolean array it can go up to 10 raised to power 8. So this is what we can do. Let me comment these lines out. Then we have another method. We have STL containers. Obviously I'm writing in hash include bits slash std c++.h. It means I'm including all the C++ libraries in my program, so we can use STL containers. So here in angle brackets you need to specify the data type of your array, then the size of your array, and then the name of your array, as simple as that. So inside it main, if you just simply declare your array and don't initialize your array, then what will happen is it will store some garbage values. Let's try see out. Let's say I want to display, let's say on fourth index, on let's say fifth index. So if I try displaying a random value, now what will happen is it will display a garbage value, that is a random value. If I try running it again, this time it will be a different garbage value, right? So what we can do is we can initialize our array here. So let's say 1 comma 3, and let me initialize it with random values. 3 plus 2 5. Let's keep the size 5 for now, because I can't initialize 10 values right now. So now what will happen is it will be initialized with respective values. Now let's say instead of 5 values I provide only, let's say, 2 values, right? Now what will happen? Now for the rest of index, by default 0 will be saved. If you try printing air4, now instead of garbage value or the random values, now it is saving 0, right? So it is equivalent to saying this thing, right? So it means for the rest of the positions it will save a 0 automatically or by default. So if you skip this 2 as well, then it will save 0 here as well. So instead of saying all of this content, let's say if I say a 1 only, then what will happen is it will save 0 for the rest of the positions, and it will save 1 at the 0th index. So if I'm saying this way 0, so now what it means? Now it means at the 0th index I'm saving 0, and for the rest of the index what is happening? 0 is getting saved by default. Okay, this doesn't mean at all that I'm saving 0 at all the positions. Let's say if I write 5, this doesn't mean I'm saving 5 at all the indexes. It means I'm saving 5 at the 0th index, and for the rest of the indexes 0 is getting saved by default, right? So this is what happening here. So there is a fill function. So you can run add.fill. So this, with the help of this fill function, you can save a by default value at each and every index. So now if I try running the code, 15 will be saved at all the 5 indexes. Okay, so let me comment this thing out. Now let's talk about iterating through an array. So we have the basic conventional method. You can run a for loop. Let's say int I equal to 0, I less than array dot size, and then we have, let's say, I plus plus. So see out, let's say array I. So this is like the conventional method, right? So what this method will do is it will simply print your array. Yeah, all good to go. So you can see 5000. Let's keep some space in between them. So it will print all the positions. So it is saving 5 at the first position. For rest of the position it's printing 0. Let's uncomment the fill function. Now what will happen, it will print 15 for all the positions, as with the help of fill functions I'm saving 15 at each and every index. Okay, so this is like the conventional way, right? So we have something called as pointers in C++. Okay, we have something called as pointers in C++. So with the help of pointers, if you want to iterate, let me just tell you something. Let's say we have an array. Let's say we have an array. So we have some predefined iterators. Let's say this is 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say we have an array of size 6. So we have till fifth index. So we have some iterators in C++. With the help of iterators, what we can do is we can iterate through our array. So we have one function that is begin. So now what will happen is this begin iterator will point to the 0th index. Always remember, this begin iterator will point to the 0th index. Then we have the reverse begin. This reverse begin will always point to the last index of your array. Then we have end. We have the end iterator. Now always remember, end iterator will point always to the one memory next to the last memory available. Let's say this is n, then this is n plus 1, then this is n plus 2, then this is n plus 3, then this is n plus 4, n plus 5, then end iterator will point to n plus 6. Similarly, we have reverse end, r end. This r end will point to the n minus 1, exactly one position before the 0th index. Okay, that's how we have these four iterators. So these with the help of these four iterators, we will get a pointer pointing to these positions. We will get a pointer pointing to these positions, and in a similar manner we can run a for loop and we can iterate through our array. So let's do. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll simply write a for loop. So I'll say auto I. So why I'm taking auto I here? So auto means whatever the data type of I is, whatever the data type of this the iterator will be, just pick that up by default. Let's say what I'll say is I'm saying here air dot begin. So what will happen is whatever the data type of this pointer is, that data type will be passed to I by default because of this auto keyword, right? So from where I want to start from, I want to start from this begin, till I want to go till end, right? So let me say till I is not equal to air dot end, right? So obviously now it will go till 5 because I'm adding a condition till I not equal to air dot end, and then simply I plus plus, as simple as that. And now again let's do the same thing, see out. So I will do star I. So we will be discussing about pointers in detail in a separate session, but for now let's say if we have a pointer pointing a particular memory location, and if you want the value at that particular location, for that we need to add a star. Now let's try running the code. So it will do the same. You can see it's printing 15 every 15 all the way. Let me comment this loop. It's because it's printing the array twice. You may get confused why the size is getting doubled. It's not the size, we are printing it doubled. So you can say with the, you can see with the help of iterators as well, we can do this thing. And one more very good thing is that these iterator will remain same for all the containers we will be studying in upcoming sessions, like for stack, queue, or whether it's a map, multi-map, or let's say it's a set, unordered set, ordered set, whatever the container is, these iterators will remain same, and the same way you will be able to iterate through the container. Okay, so with that part, I guess we are done with the arrays container. So in next session we will be discussing about the rest of the containers. Okay, thank you.